Welcome to Carolina Sculpture Studio. My name's Clint Button and I'm a granite sculptor. Well, stone's here. For the big angel, this is for the base. Measures, nominal, 6 foot long, 1'4" tall, and forget 2 something width. This is the stone for the angel. Measures approximately 5 feet across, just over 6 foot tall, 1/4 thick. That's what 12,000 pounds of stones looks like. So we got to get to work. I did talk with the customer, told her everything was here, and I had offered in the past to not do a portrait, but to make the portrait face bear resemblance to, you know, their family, if that's what they wanted, and hadn't heard from her about it in a while. She said her daughter was going to send pictures, so we'll do some rework on that. Just work on casting the scale model for right now. We'll get that rubbered up and plaster and get that poured, get it set up. The way this measures out, this stone looks like I probably need to flip it over. Need to turn it because this is the longer edge here, and it's common when you buy stone from like the manufacturers like this that you'll get stone and it'll be nominal. If you order it 6 foot, unless it has to be an architectural installation where 6 foot is the spec, this will measure out to a little over 6 foot, you know, so that you get at least 6 foot. So this is around 6'2". It looks like this corner, because of the way it cuts under, let's see if I can show on the camera, this side runs under, and so right here is under 6 foot, but over here this is fine. So it looks like we've got to turn the stone to flip this side from like this, so we can turn it over and work on it. This is rushed from the crane, chains on the crane, run it up and down to stretch the belts enough to make it work. So we'll have to, normally I'd be pretty upset and want to clean that off right away. This is all going to be tooled, so I'll wash it and clean it and it won't be a big problem. But giving you some ideas, this stone obviously has one straight end and the other end is just split. This other side's just split. The same thing with the 3 sides on the big stone. Now, if y'all been paying attention, let me show you something real quick, just how to read this stone. You see this stripe right here that goes all the way along the bottom? Okay, most diamond saws, if they're large, they've got about a 5 foot capacity or throat, because you got a blade that's maybe, you know, 15 feet in diameter. And so by the time you deal with the arbor and the center to support it, you typically have around 5 feet of depth. Well, this is cut, you can see, right at 5 feet. So that's 4 feet right there, 5 feet out by the edge. That's about as deep as most diamond saws will go. And contour saws are great, but they're not going to make it as flat. So not as easily. So this has been diamond sawed. They stood this stone, this edge was pointed up and this edge was pointed down, and they put it on the bed and saw it. So but I started off this series, talked about a lot of different things, and I want to see if it can make sense now as to why we've been doing boring stuff like squaring a block of granite, or doing panels, telling you how to fix a panel, how to straighten a stone up. This die has 2 parallel faces and a joint that's sawed. The bottom has been sawed. These other faces, when I get done, this corner will be cut off, which we talked about that before, but this gives me more. I've got the stone in my building now, and so we're trying to get it here because we were running out schedule, really need to get it here, really need to get going. So it was shipped to me like this. If I wasn't prepared and fully capable of flattening these sides up, making them flat, making them square to the other faces, making them true, I think I'd be in a big heap of problems right now. But because I know how to do all of it, when I have to do all of it, I can. It's just a matter of extra work. Now, I would have loved it if these were sawed off and this was contour sawed and knocked out. Right now, I ordered a piece of stone that was 4'6". He sold me this piece that was broke out at almost 5 foot. So I got an extra 6 inches to work with. Got more liberty. I may change this wing because I got a little more width right here than I do here. Not a lot, but I didn't want this to protrude over the edge and be fragile, because when we pick this finished stone up, there's probably going to be a strap that goes around here in order to pick her up. I didn't want anything sticking out that'd be easy to break. Now I can measure this, do my calculations, and probably extend this over just an inch or two. Make that wing go just a little bit farther. And because there's extra width on the stone, I could also make this bigger. And the customer's pretty excited about it. So I can make the die portion a little bit larger, make the back upright a little bit larger, and have a even more impressive stone. Now, moving this in studio is a life and death matter. If you play games or screw around, it will crush you, and whether it kills you or not, you'll wish it hadn't happened. So turning this stone is going to be a very careful endeavor. I've got to turn it over, and then I've got to stand it up to work on it. I probably have to work on it laying down a couple ways. I couldn't work this on the sawhorses because you can see the sawhorses, and let's see, I'll grab the tape here. On the sawhorses, the top of this stone is over, almost 3.5 feet off the ground. That's not too bad for a small stone like this, where I've only got enough depth to reach across, where it's pretty short. See, this measures about 2'6" as is. So by the time we trim it, it can go to 2'4" or so. That's not too bad because I can reach into the middle and still be somewhat comfortable. It's a little bit tall, but you could work with it. This big stone is the same thickness as this height, but I'm gonna have to get it, I'm gonna have to reach further in, so this has to be lower. So we'll just mount this, we'll use some blocking and crib it up off the ground and do it good. But I've got it between my two suctions, so I should have good reach from that suction and this other suction as I need to. This crane will probably park right in the center, and so I shouldn't have a problem with my overhead boom for my hose, that yellow thing pointing towards the right above the suction, because that will extend over the stone here. We'll be carving on this side, and it should reach just fine. I can have the crane over just off center, or I can push it clear to the back out of the way if I feel like it. But this is why I'm doing the videos and presenting the information like I'm doing it. You may not have a piece of stone that comes into your studio that weighs 8,000 pounds that you have to true up and straighten up before you can actually get to work and do the fun stuff. You may only have a piece of stone that weighs a couple 100 pounds. But if you don't know what to do, something like this could be a game changer. It can stop you dead in your tracks, and in the effort you put into it to hack it up, to try to square up a face like that, you know, you could be in deep trouble. So, one other detail that I still haven't decided on, we had talked about polishing this top, about having this top polished, but we're still, manufacturer's still catching up. Lots of orders. I'm not the only person that wants this stone and wants it yesterday and waited and needs it and everything. So he just went ahead and sent it. So I was going to do some polishing to show y'all how to polish. So we may polish the top of this base after the rest of it's done. This base has to have a curved scotia drop wash cut around it, and then this has to be pitched off top to bottom. This will be all rock pitch, this lower about 2/3, and then the upper third roughly. And this, I don't know if I'll do 4 or 6 inches. If I do 6 and 8, it should balance out pretty well. And we'll look at what the numbers are, how they match up. But I thought the base was only a foot tall. I'd forgotten. So we'll cut a nice scotia on this all the way around. Then we'll balance that. After, we won't do that until we get the base, the die straightened out, figure out the dimensions on the joint. I'm not too worried about overhang because this is 6 foot, this is 5 foot. You know, if we go in 4 inches, that's 8. That's only 2 inches to the corner of the die. So this may get shorter. We'll see. We can fudge with those numbers a little bit to make it work. But this is nice to have progress. So I'll probably clean that off a little bit just to clean it, just so it is clean. And we'll start setting up rubber on the full-length scale model and get that cast while this sets. But in a year or two, after all this work is done, it won't be any big deal to just click through the videos, and it takes, you know, 2 seconds to click to the next video. But this has been a long wait to get these stones. We ordered it in June, and I got it in mid-October of the following year. So that's how long it takes to get stone this big right now. And hopefully it'll get better as time passes, but you have to have a long view. And then you have to be prepared, because if I had to wait another couple of months to get this sawed the way I wanted it sawed and thought I'd get it sawed and whatever, we may not be able to get it down the hill into the studio on my relatively soft drive. And then that would have put the project off even longer. But if you know what to do, you can do it. So I think I'm going to leave this video here, make it short, just introducing you to a 2-ton and a 4-ton block of granite that'll be carved into a life-size bas-relief angel and the base over the coming videos. And it'll all be done by me, Clint Button, here at Carolina Sculpture Studio as part of the virtual stone carving apprenticeship. So thanks for coming in.